Talk to the Sky, Christopher Daniels, Frankie Zay, collectively known as SoCal Uncensored or
SCU! This is Catch, Hook, and Shoot, the worst podcast I've ever been on. Word.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Catch, Hook, and Shoot. Today is Sunday, February the 16th. It is a day of NXT Takeover Portland. We'll be getting into the previews and predictions of that in just a little bit here. First and foremost, as always, want to thank everybody for listening, watching, and subscribing on YouTube, Podbean, and wherever you find your podcasts. And make sure you're following on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, LinkedIn, anywhere. You can find the show at Catch Hook Shoot. Head to patreon.com/CatchHookShoot for all your bonus content, and ProWrestlingTees.com/CatchHookShoot for all your t-shirt needs. And if you ever want to shoot me an email, it's CatchHookShoot@gmail.com. So let's get right into everything going on in the world of pro wrestling this week, starting it all off like we always do with the match of the week. Alright, so for this week's match of the week, it's coming from Warrior Wrestling 8, the event that I attended last night and did live commentary for on the Podbean app. Thank you to everybody who tuned in and checked it out. And the match I'm talking about was, for me, the match of the night, just an amazing wrestling match between two just supremely talented wrestlers. I'm talking about Jonathan Gresham versus Daga. I mean, this one was just a clinic of chain wrestling, mat and submission wrestling, and had a little bit of an unexpected ending, but it was a fantastic match. Jonathan Gresham was victorious in this one, and I highly recommend you check it out. You can find the event, the replay on the High Spots Network. And it was just an amazing, like I said, just a mat wrestling clinic between these two guys. So definitely head over there and check that one out if you get the opportunity. So rolling right along into the next segment here, talking about my personal top 3 highlights from the week, and of course that is called the 3 count. Number 1 on the 3 count this week, Shayna Baszler made her debut on Monday Night Raw, attacked Becky Lynch after her match, and bit a chunk out of the back of Becky's neck. Apparently, it was kind of an odd spot, but so Shayna has made her debut on Monday Night Raw. One can only assume that she'll be the one challenging Becky at WrestleMania for the Raw Women's Championship. Definitely think it'll be a good rivalry. Shayna, a new addition on Raw, but definitely not new to WWE fans. And I'm hoping the whole biting thing is not going to be like a permanent gimmick for her. I'm hoping it was just done, just to make a point, I guess. I don't know. I'm hoping they're not going to turn Shayna into some kind of vampire or something like that. But definitely an interesting debut for Shayna Baszler. Saw Becky Lynch steal an ambulance to drive herself to the hospital, which really didn't make a whole lot of sense, and then drove the ambulance back and calling out Shayna and that kind of thing. So kind of an odd beginning to this rivalry, but like I said, hopefully, not hopefully, but I'm sure it's going to be a great match between these two. I'm sure it's leading up to a WrestleMania match. Number 2 on the 3 count was announced this past week that Simone Johnson, daughter of The Rock, has reported to the WWE Performance Center. So, the first 4th generation WWE superstar, and I'm sure we'll be seeing her making her NXT debut sometime in the near future. I mean, if you saw the video that The Rock posted online today of his visit to the PC, he was saying Simone's been actually training since she was 16 years old. She's 18 now. Already got some training under her belt, and obviously getting more now. Actually has a WWE contract or an NXT contract, I'm sure. So, looking forward to her debut. I mean, from the little snippets of stuff that I've been able to see, she looks to be pretty good. Definitely has that that Samoan dynasty lineage behind her, and has you can tell by looking at her, she's got that wrestling gene. So can't wait to see her debut. Number 3 on the 3 count comes from AEW Dynamite. Nyla Rose is your new AEW Women's World Champion, and a lot of mixed reactions online to this, which I think was fully expected. I mean, obviously, actual fans very happy about this title change. I'm here for it. I like Nyla Rose. I think she's very, very talented, and so many people out there saying, oh, she's green, and she's sloppy and this and that. And honestly, these are people who really have no clue what they're talking about. I mean, Nyla Rose has been in the wrestling business for 7 years, has had extensive tours in Japan, where wrestling is no joke. They're not going to bring somebody in who doesn't know what they're doing or who is an unsafe worker. Professional wrestling taken very, very seriously in Japan. So, anybody that's invited over there to perform is somebody who knows what they're doing. And Nyla Rose has never injured anyone in the ring. So people saying she's green, she's sloppy, she's dangerous, this and that. Like I said, they have no clue what they're talking about, and I'm not even going to get into the other kind of BS that's spouted out there about her on a daily basis, because it's just pure stupidity and ignorance. So we'll leave that on its own. But number 3 on the 3 count, Nyla Rose wins the AEW Women's World Championship, and I'll have a little more to say about that a little bit later in the show. So let's get into what's been going on this past week through all the different wrestling shows and companies and TV and all that. On Monday Night Raw, saw Randy Orton attack another WWE legend in Matt Hardy. Had a hit him with an RKO and a concerto, kind of the same way he did the Edge. And a lot of speculation that this was kind of the way of writing Matt Hardy off of TV, because by all accounts his contract is coming up very quickly, and he is not re-signed with WWE. A lot of people speculating, myself included, that he's probably going to show up on AEW as the Exalted One for the Dark Order. But then all that speculation was kind of blown out of the water when WWE announced a no-holds-barred match between Matt Hardy and Randy Orton for this Monday. So apparently WWE trying to milk as much as they can out of Matt Hardy before he leaves the company, which if the rumors out there are true, his contract is up as of March 1st. So coming up this Monday, Matt Hardy and Randy Orton, no-holds-barred match. I'm sure this is going to be another brutal, violent kind of, I hate to say squash match, but that seems to be what's been happening to Matt Hardy as of late, and I'm sure that's no coincidence, since he's decided not to renew his contract with the WWE. It just seems to be the pattern. People get squashed on their way out, so it is what it is. We've also got a new 24/7 champion in Riddick Moss, kind of turned on Mojo Rawley a little bit, hit him with the quick roll-up, and he won the 24/7 championship. Moving on to some NXT news, we're going to see a match this week between Lio Rush and Jordan Devlin for the Cruiserweight title. That should be an amazing match between those two guys. I'm definitely going to be tuning in for that one. We're also going to see the match between Roderick Strong and Velveteen Dream. This one's been building only for a couple of weeks since the Dream came back. And like I said, using kind of a Rick Rude style gimmick, talking about Roderick's wife and family and things like that, and having his wife's picture on his tights and that kind of thing. And so obviously, two of the best that NXT has right now in Roderick Strong and Velveteen Dream, so that's going to be an awesome match as well. Some other NXT news from a house show this past week. Apparently, the rumors of Tainara Conti leaving the company are false. She did return at an NXT house show wearing a shirt that said "released" across the front of it. I would assume that was just to kind of, give a poke to all the rumors and dirt sheets out there that were talking about her walking out of the company. So looks like Tainara is still a part of NXT, which I'm very happy about. Like I said, I think Tainara is very good. I'm hoping she gets a little bit more TV time. I mean, NXT's got a very stacked women's division. But with Shayna Baszler moving up to Raw, and things like that. I mean, there seems to be a lot of turnover in the NXT women's division. Not so much recently, but historically there has been. So I'm sure there will definitely be a place somewhere in the women's division sooner rather than later for Tainara. Moving on to SmackDown, we saw an appearance from Hulk Hogan via satellite, kind of the same way Goldberg appeared the previous week. And along the same lines, he was interrupted by The Fiend. And so, kind of teasing that that Hogan may fall victim to The Fiend at some point. We'll have to see. Hogan was talking about how tough Goldberg is and things like that, and that's when the Fiend kind of interjected his 2 cents and that stuff. So it was an interesting little spot. So we'll have to see if anything comes of that at some point in the future. Talking about Goldberg, he is apparently going to be appearing again this coming week on SmackDown. I would assume in the arena and not by satellite this time, but we'll see about that. Also making an appearance on SmackDown this week is John Cena, returning to SmackDown for the first time in a while, and I'm sure this is going to be probably the beginning of the build-up to whatever he's going to be doing at WrestleMania. Now, the word that's out there is that he wants an actual match. He wants to have a bigger part in WrestleMania than he has the last couple of years, where it's just been more or less appearances. So we'll see what's going to happen with John Cena this coming Friday on SmackDown. Also coming up this week, we're going to see Carmella taking on Naomi for the number one contendership for the SmackDown Women's title. Now, if you saw this week on SmackDown, Carmella did lose to Bayley. Bayley retained the women's championship, so this coming week it's Carmella versus Naomi for a title match at Super Showdown. So that is going to be the second WWE women's match at Super Showdown in Saudi Arabia, and it will be for the SmackDown Women's title. So that's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to that. I like Carmella. I like Naomi. Carmella's another one that gets a lot of hate online, but go back and look at her body of work. Watch her when she started in NXT to where she is now. There's definitely been an improvement, and Carmella's good. That's the best way I can put it. She's good. I like Carmella. So if you don't, well, sorry. But anyway, in 205 Live, we've got a new tag team that debuted this past week in Mike Kanellis and Tony Nese. So hopefully we see a little bit more of them, at least on like NXT or something like that, because I think that could be a very, very good tag team. And some miscellaneous WWE news. John Jones, in an interview, mentioned about that he wants to have a WWE run after he's done in the UFC, and that wasn't received well by everybody. Becky Lynch, in particular, she had some stuff to say about people thinking that they can just on a whim just, oh yeah, I want to go to WWE, and so not too happy with that kind of thing. Which, who can blame her? Also found out that Kathy Kelly, backstage interviewer for WWE, is going to be leaving the company after Takeover Portland tonight. Apparently gave her notice a couple of weeks ago and was, she put out there herself that she's leaving the company. It wasn't announced by WWE or anything like that. So I think it's pretty cool that they allowed her to do that in her own time and in her own way. Some more rumors about the WWE Hall of Fame. Apparently, Jushin Thunder Liger and the Bella Twins are the latest rumored inductees. Now, Liger hasn't had a lot of matches or anything like that in WWE. Has had one that I know of for sure, as part of an NXT Takeover. But definitely deserving of a Hall of Fame induction, no doubt there. I mean, just a legend in the business in Japan. Wrestled for WCW for a long time, and just probably the best junior heavyweight in the history of the business anywhere. The Bella Twins, again, another thing that got a lot of mixed reaction online. People saying, oh, it's great, they deserve it. They did so much for the business and the company as far as gaining mainstream exposure and things like that, which I 100% agree with. I think they're very deserving. But, again, you have that other small vocal minority of fans out there who say, oh, they're so horrible in the ring and then this and that, and they only got by on their looks and who they were sleeping with and all this kind of garbage. And, I'm sorry. I mean, yes, I'm sure there are advantages to being to having some kind of relationship with a top star in the company, be it a family relationship or a romantic relationship or whatever it might be. But that will only take you so far. In the end, you need to, still step in that ring and hold your own, which the Bella Twins have done for many years. So, yeah, I have no issue with the Bellas going into the Hall of Fame. Are there other people that I think should be in there? Absolutely. But you know what? And Triple H, I believe, has said this himself. You can't induct everybody in one year. You have to pick and choose, unfortunately, and that's the way it is. I mean, yes, I want to see the British Bulldog and Vader and Bam Bam Bigelow and Demolition and Owen Hart, which will probably never happen, but yes, all these people deserve to be in there, and King Kong Bundy and this kind of stuff. But they can't all go in one year, and especially with a lot of the superstars, a lot of those people I named have passed away, and it's pretty much WWE's. I don't know if it's a standard. Well, I mean, it has been standard practice, but I don't know if it's an actual written rule somewhere. But they only have one posthumous induction every year. That's just the way it is. So this year, I'm sure we will get one. Be it whether it's Bam Bam or whoever it might be that has passed on that is deserving of being in the Hall of Fame. I'm sure we'll get one this year, but that's all we're gonna get is one, unless it's part of the legacy wing, like with Bruiser Brody. I mean, Bruiser Brody absolutely is a Hall of Famer based on his career, but he didn't get the the full on induction ceremony. He got acknowledged as part of the legacy wing, which is still, he's still a Hall of Famer. I think fans tend to get a little overzealous and take this kind of stuff a little too personally. I mean, it's the WWE Hall of Fame. It's not the end all be all, of somebody's wrestling career. I mean, there are tons of halls of fame out there that have inducted a lot of these people, and granted the WWE is the most public one, and yes, they deserve that acknowledgement, but it's going to happen, is my point. It's going to happen in time, so people they really need to be a little bit more patient. Another rumor out there about the Undertaker's potential WrestleMania match for this year. I talked about last week that the rumors out there that it could potentially be Sting, and the latest rumor now is that it's going to be AJ Styles, which again, I think it'll be a great match. I think AJ can, because at this point in the Undertaker's career, I think he does need an opponent that can give him a good match, and AJ is definitely one that can do that. Now, it's not what I was hoping for. I really was hoping there was some truth to that Sting rumor, because that's still a match that I personally would love to see. But AJ versus Undertaker, I think, would still be a great match. AJ, I think, can put on a fantastic match with literally anybody, and we're talking about the Undertaker, one of the greatest of all time. So, if it's AJ, if it's Sting, whoever it is, it's the Undertaker at WrestleMania. So I'm gonna be glued to my television for that one. Getting into what's going on tonight with WWE, we've got NXT Takeover Portland happening, and as usual with NXT Takeover shows, it's a stacked card. We've got Rhea Ripley defending the Women's Championship against Bianca Belair, Finn Balor taking on Johnny Gargano. That right there, I'm picking as match of the night. Though those two are going to steal the show. I hope they give this one ample time in the ring, because these two can go out there and tear it up with each other. For the tag team titles, the Undisputed Era defending against the Broserweights, Pete Dunne and Matt Riddle. Adam Cole defending the NXT title against Tommaso Ciampa. Dakota Kai and Tegan Nox in a street fight. I'm really looking forward to that one. I think those two, again, I think this is another one that has the potential to steal the show. Because the rivalry has been built very well between these two, and it's been what I would call a long-term rivalry since War Games, when Dakota Kai made that heel turn and took out Tegan Nox. And then for the North American Championship, we've got Keith Lee taking on Dominik Dijakovic. Now, these guys have had many matches in NXT, and it seems like every one is better than the last. So, any one of these matches could steal the show. But like I said, for my money, it's Balor and Gargano. That's the one I'm most looking forward to. I'm expecting Rhea Ripley to retain the title versus Bianca. I really do think we're going to see Rhea and Charlotte at WrestleMania. I'm picking Balor to go over Gargano. That one's kind of a toss-up. It could go either way, but I'm picking Balor in this one. I mean, it's still a fairly new rivalry, so hopefully this is not like the end of it. So I'm picking Balor to win this particular matchup. I think the Undisputed Era is going to retain the tag team titles against Dunn and Riddle. I think I think the Broserweights are going to be a short-lived team. I think that's going to end up being a rivalry in and of itself. I'm expecting to see Pete Dunne make some type of heel turn. If not tonight, then in near future. I'm expecting to see some kind of at least dissension among the team of the Broserweights tonight. Cole and Ciampa, I don't know. I'm having a hard time with this one. I mean, the Undisputed Era has already lost one of their titles when Strong lost the North American title to Keith Lee. So I don't know if they're going to take the NXT title off of Cole just yet. To put it back on Ciampa, I think I'm going to go with Adam Cole to retain in this one. Tegan Nox and Dakota Kai, I'm looking for Tegan Nox to pick up the victory in this one in the street fight. And for Lee versus Dijakovic, I'm looking for Keith Lee to retain the North American title. In some AEW news, looks like the Nightmare Collective is pretty much done. Brandy Rhodes put up a video of her basically burning her little veil that she would wear all the time and stuff like that. So it seems like they've listened to a majority of their fans who are not really into the Nightmare Collective. I personally thought it was cool. I was interested to see where it was going, but I don't know if the whole faction is done. But it looks like Brandy Rhodes is out. Obviously, Awesome Kong is out with her injury from last week, and Luther actually made a challenge to Jimmy Havoc this past week on AEW Dark. So yeah, it looks like the Nightmare Collective is pretty much done and broken up. So I would assume we'd be seeing Mel somewhere in the women's division on her own moving forward, which I'm interested to see what she can do in the ring. Coming up this week on Dynamite, we're going to see a tag team battle royal for the basically the winners get a tag team title match at the Revolution pay-per-view coming up on the 29th of this month. We're also going to see this week finally the in-ring debut of Wardlow taking on Cody Rhodes in a cage match, first cage match for AEW. So looking forward to that one. Also on Dynamite this past week, we saw Darby Allin lay down a challenge for Sammy Guevara for Revolution. I'm sure we're going to see that match. So that one. I'm here for that. I cannot wait to see Darby Allin and Sammy Guevara get in there, because that one definitely has show-stealing potential. Also saw Dustin Rhodes challenge Jake Hager for Revolution, so that'll be Hager's in-ring debut. And we also saw the debut on Dynamite of Jeff Cobb as the hired gun for Chris Jericho in the Inner Circle came out and took out Jon Moxley. So, and we'll see an actual match between Cobb and Moxley this coming week on Dynamite. Now, Jeff Cobb, for those of you that don't follow like Ring of Honor, if you're familiar with Lucha Underground, Jeff Cobb was the wrestler behind the mask of Matanza Cueto, and he not a real tall guy, but a very big guy and very powerful. So definitely keep an eye on him in AEW. Apparently, he is a free agent. He is not signed anywhere because he still wrestles for Ring of Honor as well. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how he's going to be used in AEW. I mean, obviously, like I said, he's right now working as the hired gun for Jericho in the Inner Circle. Also coming up this week on Dynamite, we're going to see Paige and Omega defending the tag team titles against the Lucha Brothers. Hard to pick this one because with all the dissension on the side of the Elite with Omega and Paige and the Young Bucks and things like that, I'm waiting for them to pull the trigger on that full-on turn from Hangman Page. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the Lucha Brothers come out with the tag titles, but it also wouldn't be a huge surprise to see Omega and Page retain. So kind of a toss-up on this one, but one thing's for sure, it's going to be a very, very good match with these four guys in there. And I'm sure everybody's going to be complaining about that it's a spot fest with Omega and the Lucha Brothers. And, it is what it is. If you don't like that particular style of wrestling, then, fine. You don't have to. But, there are people that like it. There is a place for it. I find it entertaining myself. It's not my all-time favorite, but I can suspend my disbelief enough to be entertained by a lot of the high-flying stuff that goes on. Moving into some Ring of Honor news, was announced that we're going to see a champion versus champion match at Supercard of Honor. Nick Aldis and the NWA World Champion taking on PCO, the Ring of Honor World Champion. So that should be a pretty good match between those two guys. Ring of Honor also announced they're introducing a new Women's World Championship. It's going to be replacing the Women of Honor Championship. They're going to be starting a tournament for that title on April the 24th, so keep an eye on that one. Moving into some Impact news, that was announced the next Impact Hall of Fame inductee is going to be Ken Shamrock, who was the first ever TNA NWA World Champion under the TNA banner. So definitely deserving. And, Impact, they only induct one person per year, which I think is pretty cool. It's obviously not, they don't do the whole big production like WWE does with the Hall of Fame, but, they do acknowledge people that have helped build that company, and with Shamrock being the first ever champion, I think, definitely well-deserved. On Impact this week, we also saw the re-emerged Su Yung go after James Mitchell and send him back to the undead realm, quote unquote. And I know I've said before, this is my favorite ongoing storyline for Impact. I find it very entertaining with the whole supernatural type element. With Mitchell and Havoc and Su Yung and Rosemary. I personally think it's a great storyline, and it's that's really what keeps me going back to Impact every week. That in addition to some of the very, very good matches that they have been putting on in the last few years. So if it's been a while since you've checked out Impact, I'll say it again: give them another chance, because they've been putting out some really good wrestling the last few years. Also on Impact this week, we saw Jordynne Grace defeat Taya Valkyrie for the Impact Knockouts title. So congratulations to Jordynne Grace. I know I talked about this a couple of weeks ago because obviously it was taped, but Jordynne Grace, your new Knockouts champion. Some other NWA news: Marty Scurll made a counter offer to Nick Aldis. Now, I talked about before, Aldis basically told Scurll, if you want the shot at the NWA title, you make a money-back guarantee. If you lose, you refund every ticket in the arena. Well, Scurll came with a counteroffer, saying that if he loses, he'll pay Aldis personally $500,000 if he doesn't win the World Heavyweight title, and Aldis accepted. So that match is going to take place at the Crockett Cup, which the date and location are supposed to be announced this coming week. So we'll find out when and where that's going to be happening. So that's pretty much it for news and rumors this week. So right now, I am going to throw it over to Charlie G with the Indie Cut.
Thank you, Tom, for that intro. And hey, the wrestling friends, I am Charlie G with your Indie Cut. Let's begin on February 8th at CZW 21st Anniversary, where the Rep retained their tag team championships against the Skulk. Anthony Green teamed with Ava Everett against Bear Country. This was a mismatch no matter how you look at it, with Bear Country weighing about 600 pounds combined and Ava weighing about 90. Ava kept it up, kept going every once in a while, but once they kept her in the ring, they hit Bear Country hit a tower splash on her, pretty much flattening her for the win. Next up, we had AR Fox defending his CZW Wire Championship against Casey Navarro. With a lot of help from his Young, Dumb, and Broke crew, Casey hit a top rope splash for the upset win and becoming the new champion. It was an okay show. Not all of it's worth repeating, so if you want to look it up, go right ahead. Next up was the AAA match card later that night with Drago Kid, Iron Kid, and Laredo Boy defeating the Perquita Negra, Latigo, and Lowrider, with Drago Kid hitting a Cradle Destroyer on Latigo. It was a fast-moving match between all six young up-and-comers. It was pretty fun. All six of them all portraying well-known names as their juniors. After the match, Ruse's faction, Ugonables, came out and took off Laredo Kid's mask, picking on him about being on a Mexican reality show and losing. A funny bit if you understood all what was going on. Then there was Big Mommy, Dinastia, and Miss Iguana defeating Lady Maravilla, La Hydra, and La Parca Negra, with Dinastia hitting a running, twisting crossbody on La Parca. That was a cool move, I must say. I haven't seen that before. Hopefully there's more to come. Next up was Mr. C's Jr. and Octagon Jr. defeating the Family Royal, which is El Hijo de la Park and L.A. Park Jr., and Superfly and Viano III Jr. This started off funny as the Park brothers tied up Octagon to the ropes by his mask ribbons. It was a cool three-way tag with Octagon Jr. landing a Spanish fly for the win on Viano III Jr. After the match, the Parca Negra came out to take L.A. Park Jr.'s mask and Octagon Jr.'s mask. I don't know why he picked on the Parks, but they couldn't even tell me. So then Hernandez came out to rip off Mr. C's Jr.'s mask and beating him down. It was translated, Hernandez's father was the original Mr. C's, so that's why he is so mad that he is not the junior, and he's not Mr. C Jr. Then there is Vikingo, Puma King, and Ray Horse defeating the Mercenarios. Vikingo hitting a Super Hurricanrana, a reverse Frankensteiner, and then a 450 plancha, all on Taurus for the win. At the end, Ray Scorpion, Tejano came in to beat down all three with the bull rope and other things. And with Taurus taking Puma King's mask to set up more rivals later on for the year. This was all good action packed in and out of the ring. Next up was the Psycho Circus, consisting of Monster Clown, Murder Clown, and Psycho Clown, defeating Padre del Norte. Monster Clown hit a wild spinning spinebuster, which looked real brutal, and I believe Carter Bravo Jr. Fun match between all 6 of these guys. For the main event, it was the Laredo Kid filling in for Dr. Wagner Jr., Phoenix and Pentagon Jr. versus the Vista del Ring, L.A. Park, and Roosh. The Lucha Brothers and Laredo Kid did a smart move coming out from behind the crowd with chairs to fend off the faction as they tried to jump him on the ramp. Phoenix did another top rope tope con hilo, missing L.A. Park and flying into the chairs and the stands. Look it up on their Twitter feed and probably any other GIF move. This was hilarious because he hit nothing and all the fans were out of the way, so no one got hurt. Then an OGT came out to interfere during the match while the ref was knocked out once again, driving Penta through a table in the corner, taking his mask, of course. Toronto's referee came out being friendly with the faction until they beat him down. L.A. Park and Bestie took Phoenix and Kid's mask for the pin, which was missed by the referee, which was a fast count nonetheless. After the match, Psycho Circus came out to help Laredo Kid and the Lucha Brothers, looking for a match against the faction down the road. Cool match between all these guys, but again, a bad ending. I don't get it, but I guess that's how January goes in AAA. I want to rename this tour "We Can Fight Until All Our Masks Are Ripped Off." Thanks again to the English Twitch crew for all their explanations. The next show is on February 23rd. Now we head to overseas news at Tokyo Yoshi Pro on February 11th. Yuka Sakazaki retained her Princess of Princess title against Lana Austin in a cool match. More grappling than I would think between these two. One outweighs the other by 100 pounds, but nonetheless, cool match. Then on to Rev Pro High Stakes on February 14th, with Dan Maloney defeating a well-traveled Jeff Cobb. A six-way scramble match with Mark Haskins defeating my buddy Carlos Romo, Chris Brooks, Helico, Kyle Fletcher, and Mad Kurt. Now onto the title matches. The SWE Speed King title was retained by Ricky Knight against Robbie X. Rev Pro Undisputed British Tag titles with the Legion retained against Damian Dunn and David Starr. Then onto the Rev Pro Undisputed British Women's title with Giselle Shaw defeating champion Zoe Lucas to become the new champ. The Undisputed British Cruiserweight title with Michael Oka defeating champion El Phantasmo. And finally, in the main event, Will Ospreay defeating champion Zack Sabre Jr. to become the new British Heavyweight Champion. Congrats to Will. And now we come back home to Wrestling with Brawler St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Yes, on St. Valentine's Day. And what was billed as a six-man tag dream match with the Strong Hearts facing Ace Austin, Blake Christian, and what was to be Alex Zane, but replaced by Trey Lamar. It was a good match nonetheless, with SEMA defeating Blake Christian. Yes, there was another improvised Blake Christian choreographed moveset, but it was all good and fun. Cool match. Next up was Warhausen, consisting of Danhausen and Warhorse against Man Scout and John Murray, where Warhorse was actually pinned by Man Scout as Danhausen was stuck in Man Scout's tent. Very goofy match, but it worked, and I was surprised to see Warhorse actually got pinned by someone. In the Revolver Tag Team Championship, #1 contender, OVE took on the Rascals and Logan James with Tyler Matrix. There was some slow-mo action between Trey Miguel and Madman Fulton. I'm sure someone would have thrown a fit if you saw this. Cool match either way, with the Rascals defeating Tyler Matrix. And sad to see Alex Zane out at Warrior Wrestling 8, but cool to see the Strong Hearts, Warhorse, and Rascals doing some nice work before they head to Chicago. That's a short week for me, so next week I will do my best to recap Alpha 1, Deadly Encounter, GCW with the return of Joey Janela, and anything else that comes along the way. Hope you enjoyed the cut. Until next week, that's a wrap for me. Happy wrestling, everyone, and back to you, Tom.
All right, and that is Charlie G with your indie cut for this week. Next up on the show is, again, just calling out the morons of wrestling Twitter and the, internet wrestling community, as it were. And, of course, I am talking about the Troll of the Week. Alright, so the Troll of the Week this week is somebody named Gage, and their Twitter handle is @GageCarson8, the number 8. You won't be able to look them up because their account's suspended. It happened within just a matter of a couple of hours after all this garbage started. But, started off by body-shaming Jordan Grace, saying how out of shape she is and stuff like that, which, if you pay attention to Jordan Grace at all, you can tell this woman is in ridiculous shape. One of the strongest women out there in professional wrestling. I mean, I would, defy anybody to say that she's out of shape, because if you watch, she puts up workout videos and things like that. The woman is in phenomenal shape. She's just solid muscle and just incredibly strong and ridiculously good in the ring, in my opinion. She is probably my favorite women's wrestler out there right now. I mean, if there's anybody I would put, right up there with her, would be Tessa Blanchard, probably for my own personal, top 2 right now in women's wrestling, as far as favorites. Not necessarily the best, but my personal favorites, ones that I like to watch in the ring. And just the very idea that somebody would say Jordynne Grace is out of shape, it just shows ignorance and prejudice. It's like, okay, if you don't like Jordynne as a wrestler, that's fine. Nobody says you need to, but going the route of hurling insults at her, or anybody for that matter, if you don't like them as a wrestler, that's fine. Don't get personal. Just say, you know what? If you have to say something, just say, I'm not a fan of her work. Why can people not just say that? That, it's not insulting. It's, you're stating your opinion without being an asshole. Is the best way I can put it. But the guy didn't just stop there. Then he had to make a comment on a picture of Jordynne with her fiance Jonathan Gresham. And he had to took it to a racist level, which it just is more ignorance. And then, of course, had some comments about Nyla Rose, taking it to a transphobic level. So, I mean, this guy's just hitting every level of prejudice you can imagine. And, like I said, within just a matter of hours, of course, he got reported multiple times, I'm certain. And, the account was suspended. So, great job there by Gage Carson 8 on Twitter, getting yourself suspended in what I would think has to be record time. So that is your troll of the week. And next, I'm going to throw it to a couple of interviews that I was able to get last night at Warrior Wrestling 8 during the Fan Fest. Talked to a couple of wrestlers I've never had the chance to talk to before, so it was pretty cool. And the first one up I want to share with you guys is a brief interview that I had with Warhorse.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Tom with Catch, Hook, and Shoot. I am here at the Warrior Wrestling Fan Fest talking to Warhorse.
Warhorse, you gotta say it in all caps. Warhorse.
Warhorse.
That's right, Warhorse.
All right, I am now educated. And tonight you're taking on the Ego Robert Anthony.
Yeah.
So how are you going to approach that, especially with Frank the Clown?
It's not so much the big ego, it's the little clown. I want to see if the carpets match the drapes, if you catch my drift. I got to see what color's going on up there, if it's going on somewhere else, because I'm going to rule his ass if he gets near that ring. And then whenever the big ego gets near the ring, I'm going to take the little one, shove him in the big one, so that way he's like a fighting Mechazord, and then it's going to be a big-ass epic robot fight in the middle of that ring.
That sounds absolutely terrifying, to be honest with you.
No, it's going to be cool.
Oh, no, it sounds cool as hell, but it sounds terrifying.
Yeah, it's going to be live on Fight TV, too.
Yes, it is, and it's also going to be live on the Podbean app, because I'm broadcasting that.
Yeah, it's going to rule ass.
Yes, it is. Well, thank you very much for your time. I know you got fans wanting to see you and stuff, but Warhorse here at Warrior Wrestling. Thank you very much.
Hell yeah.
All right, so that was Warhorse, definitely, excuse me, I said it wrong. It's Warhorse. And, definitely a very cool guy, very gracious with his time, much appreciated him taking a few seconds out to let me get him on camera and talk about his match last night, and put on a great match with the Ego Robert Anthony last night. Of course, he wasn't victorious in that match due to some interference from Frank the Clown. But it is what it is. But Warhorse, very cool guy. Hope to be able to see a lot more of him, because last night was the first time I got to see him live, and he is very, very good in the ring, very entertaining. I love his gimmick, the heavy metal gimmick, and it was awesome. So next up, I was able to get another brief interview with the man who ended up becoming the Warrior Wrestling Champion last night, and I'm talking about Brian Pillman Jr.
What's up, guys? This is Tom with Catch, Hook, and Shoot. I am here at the Warrior Wrestling Fan Fest, standing next to the two-time Rookie of the Year, Brian Pillman Jr. And tonight you're taking on Bully Ray, and it's got a little personal with you guys.
Yeah, I think Bully's really lived up to his name here, always picking on the younger guys like me, but he poked a bear. shouldn't have picked on me, buddy. Shouldn't have drugged my father into this. And now it's personal. It's not just business anymore. And I'm going to be coming out. I'm going to hit the ring swinging. There's not going to be any locking up. There's not going to be any wrestling. This is going to be a fight. And it's going to be a fight that you're going to want to see on Fight TV and on High Spots Network here at Warrior Wrestling 8.
And also, of course, you can listen to the live audio on Podbean as broadcast by myself. Once again, Warrior Wrestling.
Over the podcast here, ladies and gentlemen.
Absolutely, and I appreciate it so much. Thank you for taking the time. I'll let you get back to your fans here. And, yeah, watch out for those tables.
All right, so that was my interview with Brian Pillman Jr. Had a great, what ended up being a Chicago street fight with Bully Ray. Was not victorious in that one, but then was named as Brian Cage's replacement for the War of Attrition match in the main event last night for the Warrior Wrestling Championship, and ended up, becoming the new champion. Of course, Brian Cage out injured with a bicep tear that he had to have surgery for, so Cage handpicked Pillman to take his place. And, started off as a 4-on-4 tag team match. Pillman's side was victorious, then 2-on-2, and Pillman's side victorious again, and the final fall was Brian Pillman versus Sam Adonis. Just an awesome match. Everybody was fantastic, and Pillman came out on top. He is your new Warrior Wrestling champion, so congrats to Brian Pillman. Again, can't thank him enough for taking the time to give me that little interview. And just an awesome time at Warrior Wrestling last night, as always. And make sure you check out, I will be posting 2 bonus episodes a little bit later today or tomorrow. Not sure yet, but all for the play-by-play that Charlie G and I recorded last night during the event. So you'll be able to hear the play-by-play for all the matches. And it was an awesome time. And so make sure you check out those bonus episodes when they drop either today or tomorrow. So let's move into the next segment of the show, and this one this week I think is pretty cool. Just again, me sitting around using my imagination for things that I would love to see or would love to have seen at some point in the history of pro wrestling, and of course I'm talking about the Fantasy Booker. Fantasy Booker this week is for everybody out there like me who loves mat wrestling, who loves grappling, who loves that submission style of wrestling, the chain wrestling, exchanging holds, and stuff like that. That's always been my favorite type of wrestling. Guys like Bret Hart, like Chris Benoit, like Dean Malenko, and the list goes on of just great technical wrestlers. And so what I'm talking about this week is the guy who I think is probably the best technical wrestler out there right now, Jonathan Gresham. And my dream opponent for him is somebody who I think is probably the best technical wrestler of the past generation, which is Dean Malenko. I mean, comparatively, like size-wise, these guys match up just tremendously. And skill-wise, I mean, these guys could go in there and probably put on an hour-long clinic of just mat wrestling, chain wrestling, submission wrestling, and for somebody like me, that would just be... these guys could very well, realistically, have put on the greatest wrestling match of all time. I have no doubt in my mind that they could do that. And so yeah, if you are a fan of mat wrestling, technical wrestling, submission wrestling, just wrestling, I mean, just sit back and think about it. Jonathan Gresham and Dean Malenko, the man of 1,000 holds versus the octopus. However you want to bill it, however you want to book it, and there are no losers with this match. I mean, would probably see things you have never seen before. I mean, with Gresham and Daga last night, I saw some stuff that I had never seen in a wrestling match as a fan, and it was just phenomenal. And I think with Gresham and Malenko, it would be that same thing turned up to 10 or more. So that's my fantasy booker for this week. Jonathan Gresham versus Dean Malenko. If you're not familiar with either of these guys for some reason, maybe you don't follow Ring of Honor or the Independents, so you don't know Jonathan Gresham that well, look look him up, look up some of his matches, look up the stuff that he can do. And if for some reason, if you're a newer fan, maybe you're not familiar with Dean Malenko, go back and watch some of his matches from ECW, from WCW, his matches that he had with Eddie Guerrero and with Chris Benoit and with Rey Mysterio, and, you know, then think about putting these two together inside of a ring. It would, yeah, I mean, for me, it would blow my mind to see those two. So that is my fantasy booker for this week. And moving right now, right into the final segment of this week's show. Yeah, definitely an opinion that's going to that some people are not going to be real fond of, but that's kind of the point. And I am talking about this week's weekly hot take. Alright, so my hot take for this week is Nyla Rose. You know what? Nyla Rose is going to make a great AEW Women's Champion. She's going to make a great champion to build that division around. And I'm not taking anything away from Riho. I love Riho's in-ring style and things like that, but, you know, I think it was just a matter of, I don't think she made that connection with a lot of the American fans. You know, they're just not familiar with her, you know, and not saying everybody's familiar with Nyla Rose. She's a relatively new face too on that big of a stage. You know, I think with Riho, I don't think there was that connection there. And, you know, I'm a fan of Riho. I hope she's, you know, I would like to see more of her, I think is what I'm trying to say here, because I don't think she was around enough, because she was splitting her time between AEW and Japan. So I think that's a complaint that a lot of AEW fans had, was that she, you know, wasn't visible enough. So with Nyla, I don't think you're going to have that problem. You're going to see her on TV every week, and, you know, she's going to be a dominant champion, and, you know, she's going to be one that you can use to build your baby faces, you know, that so that the crowd can really get behind them. She's going to be one that, you know, is going to, again, is just going to dominate a lot of her competition, and it's going to get a lot of sympathy for the baby faces in that division. So I think she, you know, I'll say it again, Nyla Rose is going to make a great AEW Women's Champion to build that division. And, you know, I said it before, I'm here for it. I love Nyla Rose. I'm a huge fan of Nyla Rose. I've become a huge fan of Nyla Rose just in the few months or year or so that we've seen her in AEW. So I can't wait to see what they're going to do with her as champion. And, you know, a lot of people out there have issues with Nyla Rose for one reason, because she's trans. I don't get that. I don't understand that. Why do you care? How does that affect your life? Honestly, that you feel so passionately about it that you have to go out there and insult and belittle and degrade this person in a public forum, but then get pissed off when you have to face the backlash of it, and all you have to come back with, well, I'm entitled to my opinion. Well, so is everybody else, and if everybody else's opinion is that you're a complete asshole, deal with it. You know, sorry to tell you, and people love to spout off about, I have my First Amendment rights. The only thing the First Amendment guarantees you is that the government can't arrest you for what you say. That's it. And even that has limits. You know, if you're using threatening language or things like that, you're making like violent threat towards people or organizations or groups or whatever, you can still be jailed for making those kind of threats. So First Amendment, number one, is not absolute, and number two, only applies to the government being able to arrest you for speaking your mind. Has nothing to do with somebody else telling you, hey, your opinion sucks. So deal with it. And it is what it is. And I'll say it again. Nyla Rose is going to make a great AEW Women's Champion to build their women's division around. And that is my weekly hot take for this week. So that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this week. Yeah, I hope everybody enjoys NXT Takeover coming up tonight. Like I said, make sure you check out the bonus episodes I'm going to be posting a little bit later on with all of the play-by-play from me and Charlie G at Warrior Wrestling. We had an awesome time. Got to give huge thanks once again to Steve Tortorello and everybody at Warrior for being, you know, so gracious, and everything that they have done for the podcast and letting us be there and take part in the Fan Fest and doing the play-by-play. It's an awesome time. It's awesome experience. And last night Charlie and I actually got a taste of being in the middle of the action a little bit with the women's War of Attrition match with, Tessa Blanchard was victorious, retained her Warrior Wrestling women's title, but during the final round of that match, it got down to Tessa and Taya Valkyrie. The action spilled to the outside, and Tessa ended up almost in Charlie's lap last night. We were calling that match, so it was pretty cool. We were a little worried that our table might end up being a casualty of the match, but it didn't. Everything, all of our equipment survived and everything, so that's definitely a plus. But the action spilled out right next to us, right in front of us, and it was really cool. A little scary, but it was very cool. So, again, huge thank you to Steve Tortorello and everybody else at Warrior. Thank you to Warhorse and Brian Pillman for taking the time to do the interviews with me. It's always an awesome experience. I'll say it again, I have never, ever had a bad experience talking to a wrestler. And why is that? Because I respect their time, I respect their space, and I respect them. I don't think they owe me anything. And there's so many fans out there that get pissed off when wrestlers basically snub them when they ask for an autograph or a picture or something. Well, you know what? Don't go up to them when they're trying to have dinner with their kids, or don't go up to them when they're walking through an airport at 3 a.m. and have just gotten off of a flight and haven't slept in who knows how long. Respect their time, respect their space, and you will... I can almost guarantee you will have a positive experience, because that's been my experience every single time. Respect their time, respect their personal space, treat them like a human being, and you will get a good response. I can pretty much guarantee you that, and that goes for anybody, not just celebrities, but just anybody. It's all about respect. And people who have an issue with that will say, oh, respect is earned. Okay, fine. You want to say respect is earned, then how about just some common freaking human courtesy? That goes a long way, too. So, that's it for my little rant about that. But, again, want to thank everybody for watching, listening, and subscribing on YouTube, Podbean, and wherever you find your podcasts. Make sure you're following on social media at Catch Hook Shoot on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, LinkedIn, and head to patreon.com/catchhookshoot for your bonus content, which I seriously need to update. I'm sorry about being a little bit behind on that. And head to prowrestlingtees.com/catchhookshoot. Pick yourself up a shirt and support the show. And if you ever want to shoot me an email, it's catchhookshoot@gmail.com. And I'm going to end the show the way that I always do now, and that's saying that, make sure... keep the important people in your life close to you. Let them know how important they are. Show them how important they are. Show them that you care. Let go of your pride. Don't be afraid to be wrong. Don't be afraid to admit that you're wrong. And because, again, I like using JR's line, our tomorrows are not guaranteed. So, let go of the little stuff and, focus on what's important. So with that, I'm going to sign off for right now. Hope everybody enjoys NXT TakeOver and all the wrestling coming up this week. So, have a great week, and I will talk to you guys soon.